Good evening and welcome to Blueprint Explosive Exclusive. I'm Madhavdas G. Viewers, we're going to bring you a big breaking story, and at the moment, this is something that should have all in aviation, particularly, of course, those who take flights regularly have to watch out. This is really the status of our major airports that have been on the DGCA's radar. It's a surveillance that has been ordered by the Director General of Civil Aviation following the tragic crash in Ahmedabad. And some of these findings are certainly going to raise concern. Viewers, watch out as we're going to be analyzing what this means and what really the implications are for Indian aviation and what really needs to be done as well. We'll be having a panel of experts analyze and decode all of this for you. But viewers, let's just tell you, the DGCA has carried out this inspection of major airports, including Delhi and Mumbai airports, and found multiple lapses during its surveillance. Now, Times Now has exclusively accessed the findings of the DGCA, which include safety lapses in aircraft maintenance procedures. Let's take a look at some of the findings by India's regulatory body for civil aviation. And this is what they have found. They are looking at a number of lapses, the first of which is that multiple cases of defects reappearing many times on the aircraft. What could potentially cause this is a big question. Lapse 2, ground handling items such as baggage trolleys found unserviceable. Lapse number 3, line maintenance stores as well as the tool control procedures were not followed. Now, this is as far as the maintenance aspects are concerned. Lapse 4, during maintenance of aircraft, the work order was not followed. Again, what does this mean in terms of not carrying out what has been specified in the work order? Safety precautions not taken as per the aircraft maintenance manual. This is lapse 5. Why is this all important? Because we've seen where engineers have actually, been the ones who have borne the brunt of the absence of these safety procedures. Lapse number 6, life vests not properly secured beneath their designated seats. These are the life vests we're talking about, where if there is an emergency procedure, if you are to, for instance, land on water, then these life vests are very, very crucial to keep the passengers afloat. But that has not been properly secured is what's being stated over here. Lapse number 7. The corrosion-resistant tape on the winglet's lower blade was damaged, we are told. Lapse number 8, obstruction limitation data has not been updated for the last 3 years. So the data not being updated for the last 3 years, why has it taken so long to find out is also certainly a relevant question. And lapse number 9, no survey despite new construction around the vicinity of the aerodrome. Remember, there's a certain specified distance within which there is construction that is not allowed, and certainly there are height restrictions as well. Why have these not been surveyed is a very, very big question indeed. Now, as per the DGCA, all the findings observed during the surveillance have been communicated to the concerned operators for taking necessary corrective actions within 7 days. The DGCA further says that the process of comprehensive surveillance will continue in future to detect hazards in the system. Let's quickly take this across, in fact, to my colleague Arunil, who's joining us. Arunil, these are very major findings as far as the DGCA is concerned. And all of this, of course, following the Ahmedabad crash. But these are serious lapses, particularly as far as the maintenance standards of aircraft, which really are an issue of concern because it's not found in one airport. These are across the country at major airports, including Delhi and Mumbai.
Well, that is right, Madhav. Basically, these are two of the busiest airports in the country, the Delhi airport as well as the Mumbai airport. Surveillance as well as inspections were carried out by the DGCA, the regulatory body, at odd hours, basically at late night as well as early mornings. It seemed like the authorities at these airports were caught off guard. The DGCA has given time of 7 days to rectify all these errors that you have pointed as well. Some of the more errors that have come to the fore are basically at one of the airport, the runways also seem to be faded. The center line marking of the runway seem to be faded. Several such errors have been notified by the DGCA to the two airports. They have also said that they are going to do such surprise checks at the other major airports across the country as well. We have seen what happened in Ahmedabad. Several possibilities have been raised. They have also mentioned about the fact that there is construction around the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel airport as well. And the same issue has been seen around the Delhi airport and Mumbai airport as well. Massive lapses is pointed by you, Madhav, and this is basically, we hope that as soon as possible, rectification will be carried out by Delhi, Mumbai, as well as if at all any faults are found with other airports.
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, Arunil, thanks for joining us with that quick update. We'll quickly take this over to our guest now. With us is Devesh Agarwal, aviation expert. With us is Captain Sanjay Karve, aviation expert as well. Sarosh Damania, aviation lawyer, also joining us on the source. Sarosh Damania, let me begin with you. How seriously are you looking at these findings? They are, at least they appear to be pretty serious on the face of it. How are you analyzing the findings of DGCA surveillance?
No, this was a well-deserved thing. The DGCA should have done it very much in advance. Now, as an aftermath to the crash, now the safety is being taken seriously. DGCA is now enhancing monitoring all airports, airlines, and these lapses have come over there, major lapses, and these are at two of the busiest airports in our country, that is Mumbai and Delhi airport. So if this is the state of affairs of the major airports, there might be issues with the other airports also. So DGCA should just have a mandatory inspection in light of this report. They should inspect each and every airport in the country, because this is a major lapses. There are safety issues, maintenance problems. Of course, maintenance and safety are two major aspects in aviation. There is no compromise. There should not be no slip of aviation, or no issue or no incident happens in aviation which is not related to a safety incident or a maintenance incident. So
all right,
avoid these incidents or avoid everything is the main thing.
Right. Let me quickly, in fact, bring in some of our other panelists as well. Captain Sanjay Karve, I'm just reading out from this particular report's findings. Ground handling equipment such as baggage, trolleys, BFL, etc. found unserviceable. Line maintenance stores, tool control procedures not followed. During maintenance of aircraft, work order was not followed. Unserviceable thrust reverser system and flap slat lever were not locked during maintenance. Safety precautions found not taken by AME as per AMM at places, and AME was not attending to the snag rectification. Defect reports generated by aircraft system were not found recorded in the technical logbook. It goes on. But these prima facie appear to be quite serious, because we have seen incidents where aircraft engineers have actually had to pay the price, and sometimes even with their life, for the non-following of these basic procedures.
Okay, if you look at it, the points that you have raised, let's go with the defects which have been occurring regularly. Now, there is a laid down procedure that if the same defect occurs again and again, the airline or an operator is mandated by regulations to inform the DGCA in writing that this is the defect which has been occurring in a recurrent manner, and DGCA then takes it up with the OEM or the regulator. If you don't take it up with the regulator that, look, these are the defects that I'm having regularly, obviously the regulator is not in a position to take it up with the OEM. Now, work order is a very important part of any maintenance. When the crew writes a defect in the flight record book, it is looked up by the AME. A work pattern is decided. A work order is raised, which tells you which maintenance manual to follow, what paragraph or what chapter is to be followed, what are the man hours required, what are the tools required, and what is the procedure to be followed. Work is expected to be carried out in that particular manner and certified by different people in the chain before finally the AME signs it off, saying that yes, this particular work has been completed as per so-and-so paragraph of the aircraft maintenance manual. Now, if your work order is not in order, you really don't know whether the book has been followed or not followed. Similarly, defects being not entered is again a very serious issue. However small a defect, it needs to be entered, because a small defect can manifest itself into a major issue which may be beyond repairs. So no, it is like we say, a stitch in time saves 9. It is exactly the same case. Every defect needs to be monitored and reported. Reported is the main key issue. Unfortunately, what happens is most of these airlines get so bogged down by on-time performance and they are hurried to turn around. If you hear that standard announcement when you're deboarding, please keep the aircraft clean so that the incoming passengers can come in and we can taxi out on time. So today, the prime thing for an airline has become on-time performance. This on-time performance business and having maximum number of flights in a day is actually cutting corners in some way or other. Also, if you look at the runway markings, they're a very critical part for a pilot, especially in poor visibility or rains.
Right.
If you can't see the center line, alignment with the runway during takeoff or landing becomes a very issue. And for me, the most critical aspect for safety is no obstruction data for last 3 years. This is criminal.
Absolutely.
In a city like Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Ahmedabad. In fact, if you look at the newspapers, there are ads every day saying, have your morning cup of tea watching aircraft take off from Navi Mumbai airport. Have your evening coffee watching aircraft landing from Navi Mumbai airport. So we know what is in store for Navi Mumbai airport. There are going to be multi-rise and multi-storied buildings coming up around that airport also. It's just a matter of another 5 years. And no one is really bothered. Probably we are waiting for another 171 to happen somewhere else. When
Very, very shocking.
Shaken up.
Very, very shocking if that is indeed the case. Have we become completely callous, Devesh Agarwal, becomes the question, because just look at the kind of lapses. How is it possible for data not to be captured, for instance, for 3 years, as Captain Karve was telling us, basic infrastructure, basic guiding factors such as the center line marking on a runway being faded. There are several other things that I can read out from this. Several life vests not being properly secured beneath the designated seats, corrosion resistant tape on the right side of the right hand side winglet's lower blade found to be damaged. There's a long list of lapses here, and it just leads one to question what has happened to our entire regulatory environment.
Hi, Madhav. Thank you for having me. I'm going to talk about another industry very quickly. It's the automotive industry. And the automotive industry follows a quality standard called IATF, International Automotive Task Force 16949, where instructions of manufacturing, quality checking, everything is passed right down to the machine operator. Literally, the machine operator is responsible for the quality of his or her work at the machine level before it goes to the next stage. There is internal audit procedures in place where the quality inspector, if they find a defect, that machine operator will be asked and hauled up, how did this part go by you when you have this specific instruction? There is a command and control and a check procedure in place, because if I screw up and send a part which is not conforming out to my customer, it could be Maruti, it could be Toyota, it could be Bajaj, XYZ, and they find it on their shop floor, I am dead. They will stop me. They will immediately quarantine my company and say, we will not take any more material from you till we are satisfied, and we go through, a complete audit with you all over again. The problem is the airlines are used to laxity all the way from the head. I mean, if you want to put, everybody is saying we need to have systems in place. We have systems in place. Captain Karve has just told us. The aviation industry is probably the most well documented and regimented, system that one can have. But the problem is you can have any number of systems, but if there is no enforcement, now all of a sudden there's an accident, DGCA has woken up. As you said, data has not been recorded for 3 years. If an airport is, I think, please somebody correct me, an airport has to go through an annual certification process every year. Yes, are they doing everything correctly? How did this happen for 3 years? What was the DGCA doing? Does the regulation call for an in-house audit team that makes sure that their own company is following their own procedures?
Right.
And so that if the procedure is not followed, then that audit team immediately gets suspended. The AME who was not doing it, you'll make him lose his license for 6 months. You start hitting people in the pocketbook. Airline with a 1 rupee fine doesn't matter. Yeah, they're making they're into thousands of crores revenue.
I want to bring in Captain Karve.
Drop in the bucket.
Absolutely. I want to bring back Captain Karve. Captain Karve, 2 more very quick points I want to raise. A simulator was checked and found not matching with the aircraft configuration. Also, the software wasn't updated to the current version. A domestic flight of a scheduled carrier was held up due to worn tires, and it was released only after the required rectification was carried out, and all the findings observed during this have been communicated to concerned operators. This is bizarre. I mean, how can you have a simulator which is not even of the specified type-rated aircraft? This is mind-boggling.
Madhav, I am surprised to hear this. A basic idea of simulator is to replicate the aircraft that you are going to fly. It is a type certified simulator, and especially abroad, if you fly on the simulator, you are cleared to fly on the aircraft the next moment. What it assumes is the aircraft that you are flying or the simulator that you are training, they just replicate each other. You cannot have something which is of a previous model. It has to be of the same model. And the tires which you are talking of, we are in monsoons. Ball tires can lead to aquaplaning. And if you have aquaplaning, even 14,000 feet of runway is not going to help you. Probably only God will have to step in to stop that aquaplaning. On a wet runway and ball tires, the tires will just spin and they will just continue to float on the runway, and an aircraft lands at 200 plus kilometers. So you can imagine what would happen on a runway which is 6,000 or 7,000 feet.
Absolutely.
You require to have tires. DGCA has rightfully done that. And when it comes to regulator, I have a point. When you're traveling on a road, there is a red signal on the road. Your orange turns to red. At every place, it is not possible to have a cop. If I jump the signal, I have to be held responsible. I cannot every time say that what was the cop doing. If I have got a license from DGCA, it is mandated that I follow the rules and regulations which have been laid down by the regulator.
Fair point.
I cannot take a leeway saying, look, it was not pointed out.
Certainly a very, very fair point. I think it's time for introspection for everyone in the entire aviation safety, whether it is maintenance engineers, whether it is pilots, whether it is the airlines themselves. Because if you're asking people and pushing them to cut corners, then certainly that responsibility will lie at the doorstep of airlines, whichever be the airline, not any specific airline, but certainly all. And it is a massive, massive wake-up call for all, including, of course, flyers who have to be very vigilant to ensure that these kind of lapses, especially open lapses which are visible, are rectified at the very earliest. I'd like to thank all our panelists, Devesh Agarwal, Captain Sanjay Karve and Sarosh Damania. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.